Hello everyone. Today class 5 Environmental pollution and associated hazards to crops, animals and humans. Environmental pollution and types. Environmental pollution is the undesired spread of toxic chemicals into the aquatic and terrestrial habitats of the world. There are many different types of pollution, usually named for the location that has become polluted. For example, if oil is dumped into a local creek, it is said to be an example of water pollution. Water, air, and soil pollution are three of the most common types of pollution. However, pollution often affects multiple systems. For example, if chemicals are burned in a factory and the smoke rising out of the chimneys carries pollutants, the air becomes polluted. However, rain may cause some of this pollution to fall down to the land. Eventually, most of the pollution that strikes the ground will make its way to the water, where it will cause water pollution. Pollution can cause hardships for plants, animals, and other organisms. Some organisms may eventually become endangered or extinct because of water, land, or air pollution. Some environmentalists consider excess ambient light and sound to be forms of pollution as well. Light pollution can alter the behavior of wildlife and disrupt the circadian cycles of plants. Sound pollution in the ocean may be a cause of whale standings. Environmental pollution and associated hazards to crops. All forms of technology exact a certain price in environmental damage. Agriculture is no exception. Agriculture in turn is sometimes damaged by undesirable byproducts of other technologies. Air has physical properties and a chemical composition that are vital parameters of life for both plants and animals. Temperature, water vapor, movement, oxygen, and carbon dioxide in the atmosphere have a direct effect on the food and fabric and fiber production. Air quality is changed by introduction of contaminants into it, and agricultural activities using such air may be affected adversely. Damage to plants by air pollutants is related to the meteorological conditions, particularly temperature inversions in the atmosphere. Air pollution injury to plants can be evident in several ways. Injury to foliage may be visible in a short term and appear as necrotic lesions, dead tissue, or it can develop slowly as a yellowing or chlorosis of the leaf. There may be a reduction in growth of various portions of a plant. Plants may be killed outright, but they usually do not succumb until they have suffered recurrent injury. Agricultural crops can be injured when exposed to high concentrations of various air pollutants. Injury ranges from visible markings on the foliage to reduced growth and yield to premature death of the plant. The development and severity of the injury depends not only on the concentration of the particular pollutant but also on a number of other factors. These includes the length of the exposure to the pollutant, the crop species and its stage of development, as well as the environmental factors conducive to a buildup of the pollutant and to the preconditioning of the plant, which make it either susceptible or resistant to injury. Air pollution damage to crops, animals and humans. Air pollution has affected agriculture. Burning coal and petroleum produce sulfur oxides. Fluorides result from smelting and glass and ceramic manufacture. Rising levels of ammonia, chlorine, ethylene, marcipane, carbon monoxide, and nitrogen oxides are found in the air. The effects of air pollution on plants and animals may be measured by the following factors: interference with enzyme systems, change in cellular chemical constituents, and physical structure. retardation of growth and reduced production because of metabolic changes, acute immediate tissue degeneration. Pollutants that enter the air from sources other than agriculture and that produce plant response are classified as gases. Acid gases includes fluorides, sulfur dioxide and chlorine. Fluoride. Fluorides are discharged into the atmosphere from the combustion of coal, the production of brick, tile, enamel, frit, ceramics and glass, the manufacturing of aluminum and steel, and the production of hydrofluoric acid, phosphate chemicals and fertilizers. Fluorides observed by leaves are conducted towards the margins of broad leaves and to the tips of monocotyledonous leaves. Little injury takes place at the site of absorption, whereas the margin or the tips of the leaves build up injurious concentrations. The injury starts as a gray or light green water soaked lesion which turns tan to reddish brown. With continued exposure, the necrotic areas increase in size, spreading inward to the midrib or on broad leaves and downwards on monocotyledonous leaves. Fluoride injury to palm foliage. The fluoride enters the leaves through the stomata and is moved to the margins where it accumulates and causes tissue injury. Note the characteristics dark band separating the healthy green and injured brown tissue of affected leaves. Studies of susceptibility of plant species to fluoride show the apricot, barley, blueberry, peach, gladiolus, grape, plum, puff, sweet corn, and tulip are most sensitive. Resistant plants include alfalfa, asparagus, bean, cabbage, carrot, cauliflower, celery, cucumber, eggplant, pea, pear, pepper, potato, squash, tobacco, and wheat. Next, sulfur dioxide. Sulfur dioxide. Major sources of sulfur dioxide are coal burning operations, especially those providing electric powers and space heating. Sulfur dioxide emissions can also result from the burning of petroleum and the smelting of sulfur containing ores. Sulfur dioxide enters the leaves mainly through the stomata, and the resultant injury is classified as either acute or chronic. Acute injury is caused by absorption of high concentration of sulfur dioxide in a relatively short time. The symptoms appear as two-sided lesions that usually occur between the veins and occasionally along the margins of the leaves. The symptoms appear as a yellowing or chlorosis of the leaf and occasionally as a bronzing on the undersurface of the leaves. Different plant species and varieties and even individuals of the same species may vary considerably in their sensitivity to sulfur dioxide. These variations occur because of the differences in the geographical location, climate, stage of growth and maturation. The following crop plants are generally considered susceptible to sulfur dioxide: alfalfa, barley, buckwheat, clover, oats, pumpkin, radish, rhubarb, spinach, squash, Swiss chard, and tobacco. Resistant crop plants include asparagus, cabbage, celery, corn, onion, and potato. Next, ammonia. Ammonia injury to vegetation has been observed frequently in recent years following accidents involves the storage, transportation, or application of anhydrous and aqua ammonia fertilizers. These episodes usually release large quantities of ammonia into atmosphere for brief periods of time and cause severe injury to vegetation in the immediate vicinity. Complete system expressions on affected vegetation usually takes several days to develop and appears as irregular, bleached, bifacial, necrotic lesions. Grasses often show reddish interveinal necrotic streaking or dark upper surface decolorization. Flowers, fruit and woody tissues usually are not affected, and in case of severe injury to fruit trees, recovery through the production of new leaves can occur. Sensitive species include apple, barley, beans, clover, radish, raspberry and soybean. Resistant species includes alfalfa, beet, carrot, corn, cucumber, eggplant, onion, peach, rhubarb and tomato. Severe ammonia injuries uh, to apple foliage and subsequent recovery through the production of new leaves following the fumigation. Next, ozone. Ozone is the main pollutant in the oxidant smog complex throughout the growing season, particularly July and August. Ozone levels vary significantly. Injury levels vary annually, and white bean, which are particularly sensitive, are often used as an indicator of damage. Other sensitive species include cucumber, grape, green bean, lettuce, onion, potato, radish, rutabagas, spinach, sweet corn, tobacco, and tomato. Resistant species include endive, pear, and apricot. Ozone symptoms characteristically occur on the upper surface of affected leaves and appear as a flecking, bronzing, or bleaching of the leaf tissues. Although yield reductions are usually with the visible foliage injury, crop loss can also occur without any sign of pollutant stress. Conservatively, some crops can sustain visible foliage injury without any adverse effect on yield. Susceptibility to ozone injury is influenced by many environmental and plant growth factors. High relative humidity, optimum soil nitrogen levels, and water availability increase susceptibility. Injury development on broadleaves also is influenced by the stage of maturity. The youngest leaves are resistant. With expansion, they become successively susceptible at middle and basal portion. The leaves become resistant again at complete maturation. Chlorine. Chlorine damages to plants is somewhat rare. Its typical symptoms are bleaching and necrosis of the leaf. Products of combustion. The primary products of combustion are ethylene, acetylene, propylene, and carbon monoxide. Ethylene is known to affect plants adversely, while the others may also do so. It would require higher concentration of them than typically occur in polluted air. Now, with the use of natural gas, ethylene in the air is derived mostly from certain chemical industries and from automobile exhaust. Greenhouse flowers in metropolitan areas are typically damaged by ethylene. Such injury appear to be caused by excessive speeding up of the life process, thus bringing on damage. Ethylene was first identified as affecting plant life over large areas in the field by its effects on cotton and other plants near a polyethylene factory. Particulate matter such as cement dust, magnesium lime dust, and carbon soot deposited on vegetation can inhibit the normal respiration and photosynthesis mechanism within the leaf. Cement dust may cause chlorosis and death of leaf tissue by combination of a thick crust and alkaline toxicity produced in wet weather. The dust coating also may affect the normal action of pesticides and other agriculture chemicals applied as sprays to foliage. In addition, accumulation of alkaline dust in the soil can increase soil pH to levels adverse to crop growth. Next, soil and water pollution, damage to crops, animals, and humans. Soil and water pollutants that may adversely affect agricultural operations include sediment, plant nutrients, inorganic salts, and minerals. Organic waste, infectious agents, industrial and agricultural chemicals, and heat. Sediment. Sediment is a resource out of place whose dual effect is to deplete the land from which it came and impair the quality of the water it enters. Aside from filling the stream channels, irrigation canals, farm ponds and irrigation reservoirs, sedimentation increases cost of water clarification. Suspended sediments impairs the dissolved oxygen balance in water. The recreational value of farm ponds is diminished by sediment, while soil depleted farmland is reduced in value. Plant nutrients. Nutrients of plants become resources out of place when they appear in groundwater and surface water. In fact, they become serious pollutants. Unwanted aquatic plants are nourished by plant nutrients derived from agriculture runoff, feed lots and barnyards, municipal and rural sewage, and industrial waste. Aquatic plants clog irrigation and drainage structures, thus increasing maintenance cost and reducing capacity. Nitrates and nitrites in groundwater, which can poison human beings and livestock, results from both agricultural and industrial operations. Inorganic salts and minerals that impair the quality of soil and water are derived from the natural deposits, acid mine drainage, industrial process, and drainage flow from irrigated areas. Salt accumulation on irrigated soils causes the most damage and loss in this category. A high proportion of sodium in irrigation water supply affect plant life adversely. More than just a trace of boron is highly toxic. Therefore, water used in municipal and industrial process involving borax may not be usable for agriculture. Organic waste. Organic waste emanating from municipal sewage, garbage, and food processing industries, pulp mills, and animal enterprises are attacked by aerobic bacteria. When this occurs in water, the oxygen content of the water is depleted or reduced to zero, at which point the anaerobic bacteria completes the process of reducing the waste to inert material. This produces septic conditions that make the water unfit for recreational use, farmstead supply, or crop irrigation. Infectious agents were not carried by wind. Infectious agents are transmitted mainly by water and soil. Bacterial and virus diseases of crops are spread by missions that move contaminated soil. Insects are prime carriers of these diseases. Weed seeds are spread by irrigation water or the nematodes. Animal diseases transmitted by water and soil include leptospirosis, salmonellosis, hog chlorella, mastitis, foot and mouth disease, tuberculosis, brucellosis, histoplasmosis, Newcastle disease, anthrax, coccidiosis, and many others. Mosquitoes breeding in stagnant water can transmit encephalitis. Most crops and livestock in the world are susceptible to one or more highly infectious diseases that may be transported by soil or water. The cost of losses from these diseases is staggering. Next, chemicals. Organic chemicals in soil and water such as detergents, insecticides, herbicides, fungicides, nematicides, rodenticides, growth regulators, and defoliants can have adverse effects on agriculture. The application of persistent insecticides to potato lands has led to residues in sugar beets grown in the same soil the following year, for which there are no tolerance. Fish has been killed in the farm ponds because of drainage of insecticide pollutants. Use of heptachloride to control alfalfa weevil led to soil contamination and uptake by hay dairy cows that ate the hay produced milk containing heptachloride. Aerial and ground application of herbicides on non-agricultural land often cause the damage to non-target crops. Herbicide wastes may enter drainage or irrigation ditches and create trouble. The presence of chemical residues in agricultural commodities can cause serious problems ranging from confiscations to loss of public confidence. Practically all aspects of chemical usage are now regulated or restricted by government. Eutrophication. Eutrophication occurs in a body of water when an increase of mineral or organic nutrients has reduced the dissolved oxygen, producing an environment that favors plant over animal life. The resulting algae and other water plants tend to choke other forms of life in the oxygen competition, especially where carbon and phosphorus are plentiful. In contrast, identification of nitrate sources in water supplies have suffered from conflicting evidence. Where nitrate is found in water, some have concluded it came from chemical fertilizers, while others have suggested it came from the natural soil nitrification of sewage effluent or animal wastes. The problem has serious aspects because nitrate can cause serious illness in human beings. One difficulty in identifying nitrogen sources lies in the fact that it is present in the soils for reasons other than fertilization, the growth of legumes. Environmental pollution affects on animals and humans. Now that we have identified the main causes of environmental pollution, let us study the negative effects it has. Effects on animals. Environmental pollution mainly affects animals by causing harm to their living environment and making it toxic for them to live in. Acid rains can change the composition of rivers and seas, making them toxic for fishes. An important quantity of ozone in the lower parts of the atmosphere can cause lung problems to all animals. Nitrogen and phosphates in water will cause overgrowth of toxic algae, preventing other forms of life to follow their normal course. Eventually, soil pollution will cause harm and sometimes even the destruction of microorganisms, which can have the dramatic effect of killing the first layers of the primary food chain. Effects on human. The effects of environmental pollution on humans are mainly physical but can also turn into the neuro affections in the long term. The best known troubles to us are respiratory in the form of allergies, asthma, irritation of the eyes and nostril passages, or other forms of respiratory infections. Notably, these well spread affections can be observed when air pollution is high in cities, when the weather gets hot, for instance. On top of that, environmental pollution has been proven to be a major factor in the development of cancer. This can happen, for example, when we eat reminiscences of pollutants used in the production of processed food or pesticides from the crops. Other rarer diseases include hepatitis, typhoid affections, diarrhea, and hormonal disruptions. In situ and ex situ management of paddy crop residue parali. Paddy crop residue parali are stable. Burning leads to the emission of harmful gases like NO2, SO2, CO, and particulate matters, and contributes to the formation of ground level ozone. The area faces the issue of smoke and fog every year during the onset of the spring season. The air quality index or AQI rises to severe levels, 400 or more in Delhi and its neighborhood. Ex situ management. Crop residues for manure. Paddy compost being recommended by the Punjab Agriculture University, Ludhiana, which provides an alternate use of paddy straw by dipping rice straw bundles in a solution of 1000 liters of water, 1 kg of urea, 1 kg of cow dung. About 2 to 3 kg of urine from the animals could be absorbed by each kg of straw, which could also be composted to enhance the degrading soil health. Rice straw. reduces from 1 hectare could be used to produce 3.2 tons of manure, which was rich in nutrients. Crop residues for energy production. Because of its environmental advantages, farm residues must have some more farmer friendly options as energy production and could be used as substitute for fossil fuels. In comparison with the other energy resources which are renewable, farm residues is a storable, cheap and environment friendly. Of being low bulk density, higher cost of transportation and low energy yield per weight basis, straw disposal is a challenge in front of the agricultural scientist. Crop residues for ethanol. Biomass rich in lignocellulosic content could be transformed into the bio-based alcohol production, which is an important and researchable issue as ethanol can be either blended with octane enhancing agent. Around 382 to 471 liters of ethanol could be produced per ton of the dry matter of farm residue. Biogas. Biogas could be successfully produced from the rice straw, which further used as a fuel. Further, 1 ton of dry rice straw has the potential to produce 300 meters cube of biogas. This yields good quality gas with 55 to 60% of methane for cooking. Further, so produced spent slurry with good nutritive values could be used as manure. This option used the farm residues in a non-destructive way for extracting high quality fuel gas and produce manure to be used back into the soil for improving its declining fertility. Residue gasification. It is a process in which producer gas is produced because of partial burning of rice residues to produce energy gas. Cleaning of gas is the main hurdle in this process for energy production. This apparatus for residue gasification with more than 1 megawatts capacity has been installed at some stations for producing the producer gas, which further generates the electricity as 1000 kg of farm residue could be used to generate 300 kilowatts hour of electricity. This is the best option we have in relation to proper disposal of crop residues. Fast pyrolysis. Under this process, temperature rises to 400 to 500 degrees centigrade within the seconds, which accelerates the disintegration process to convert 5% of biomass to gas, and if it is cooled quickly, then it forms bio-oil, a viscous liquid of dark brown color which has high calorific value. Biochar. Biochar is generated from the slow pyrolysis beating in the absence of oxygen of biomass and is a high carbon material. It is a good energy source used as a fertilizer when mixed with soil. Reduce emissions of harmful gases and mitigate the adverse effects of the global warming. Further, from the biochar energy rich gases formed to generate liquid fuels, biochar improves the physical and thermal anthemical properties of texturally divergent soils, as well as increasing the rate of nutrient delivery to roots of the plants for having potential yields. Next, B, in situ management. This could involve equipment like barrels, super straw management system SMS, chopper cum shredders, happy seeded machines, which are used for direct sowing without ploughing. Super straw management systems SMS. The use of super SMS with combined harvester helps facilitate the management of crop residues. It is attached to the rear of a combined harvester and uniformly spreads loose straw on the field. With this method, farmers are not required to burn the straw before sowing the next crop. Happy seeder or turbo happy seeder is a tractor operated machine used for in situ management of paddy stubble after harvesting the paddy field using a combined harvester fitted with super SMS equipment. This chop and eventually spread the stubble in the field. Farmers can directly sow weed seeds using happy seeder with the stubble organic value adding to the soil. PUSA biodecomposer. It involves making a liquid formulation using PUSA decomposer capsules and readily available inputs, fermenting it over 8 to 10 days, and then spraying the mixture on fields. It is a mix of 7 fungi that produce enzymes to digest cellulose, lignin, and pectin in a paddy straw. The fungi thrive at 30 to 35 degrees Celsius, which is the temperature prevailing when paddy is harvested and wheat is sown. Next, custom hiring centers CHCS can play a critical role in providing equipment for crop residue management. Punjab aims to establish at least one CHS in each village. Central sector scheme on promotion of agricultural mechanization for in situ management of crop residues in the state of Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, and NCT of Delhi. Highlights: for custom hiring of crop residue management, machinery through Farm Machinery Bank, subsidy of 80% of project cost to farmers group entrepreneurship, etc. For procurement of agriculture machinery and equipment for crop residue management, subsidy of 50% of machinery cost to farmers. Financial assistance to state government, KVK, ICAR institutes, central government institute, PSU, etc. towards information, education, and communication for countrywide awareness on crop residue management. Thank you.